Hello everyone! I regularly get called the Queen of Minimalist Packing in the comments of my videos, so I wanted to figure out if I really deserve that title. So I decided to reach out to a few other minimalist traveling ladies here on YouTube and put them to the test. And I'm gonna ask them 11 questions that I will as well answer, and then hopefully we can see who deserves that title of Minimalist Packing Queen. To be honest, I don't watch too many other YouTube channels about packing and traveling because most of them are just too sensationalist for me, and I hate it when they want to sell me stuff in every corner. But there are a few channels that I enjoy, so here are the 3 contenders for the title.
Hello, I'm Sonia, Nan with a Backpack, and I believe that I deserve the title of Queen of Minimalist Travel because I have been away on holiday for 13 days with a 13-litre backpack.
Hi, I'm Tina from Wanderlust. I'm a vegan with Wanderlust, and I deserve the title of Minimalist Packing Queen because I never take more than a personal item-sized bag, and I love minimalist packing challenges to see with how little I can actually travel.
Hi everyone, my name is Ree and I am so excited to be included in this video. I don't know that I would call myself the minimalist queen because I probably could travel lighter, and I think the other women in this video do travel lighter. However, I will say that I think that I try to make minimalist and one bag travel really accessible for people who aren't minimalists and try to convert them to our little club.
And of course, there's me. I already recorded my answers up front, so I'm very curious to hear what the others are saying. So let's start with the first question. Why are you traveling with less?
I'm traveling with less because when it comes to packing, it is so much easier with less stuff, and also it's a lot easier on my back, neck and shoulders as well.
This actually makes me think of the last trip I did with checked luggage. That was in 2018. I had a big, massive backpack and I didn't use half of the things I brought, and I just hated changing locations because I had to lug around my big backpack. So I thought I'll just try it out. I'll try to see if it's possible to just travel with a small bag. And it was possible and I loved it. I've never gone back since.
So I started traveling with less a couple years ago because I was going through a really difficult time and I just wanted to take a trip back to see my family. So I bought the cheapest ticket available, and it turns out that I could only bring a personal item. So that was the first trip that I took with just a personal item, and really what changed it for me and showed me that I could do this realistically.
So for me, the main thing is peace of mind. Bringing less means that I have to worry less. And I really don't want to be the inventory manager of all my gear while traveling, or constantly worry if I left something behind. And in a way, it also makes it easier, I think, because airlines cannot lose my luggage anymore, or I don't have to haul my heavy roller bag over a beach anymore. So by stripping it down to the essentials, I kind of eliminated a lot of friction. It seems to me that we can all agree that it makes traveling easier, and I think that once we tried it and saw that we can actually do it, we decided to stick with it. Question number 2. Are you a true one-bag traveler, or do you use more than one bag?
No, I am not a one-bag traveler. I'm a two-bag traveler because I travel with a laptop and camera. So I like to be able to keep my electronics with me. And if they want my backpack with my clothes to go under a bus, I can put that underneath, but keep all my electronics and my most personal stuff with me.
When I'm traveling from location to location, I only have one bag. Because I only travel with a personal item-sized bag, I'm not allowed more bags. But inside my bag is a day bag. So when I'm at the location and I'm going out for a day, I use my day bag.
I will say I do use more than one bag. Typically, I have my backpack, which goes under the seat in front of me, but then I also like to bring along a little sling that I wear across my body and use in the airport, and then that I also use at my destination.
I guess I'm a flexible one-bag traveler. I usually travel with 3 bags, but if I need to, they all fit into my main backpack. So I usually bring my backpack. I have a sling bag where I keep all my valuables like my passport and stuff that I want to have on me at all times. And I bring one more packable bag that I use when I get separated from my backpack. For example, when I'm flying and I want to have things in my seat, or I drop it in a locker when I want to explore a city. So having those 3 bags gives me a lot of flexibility. Traveling with just one bag is always portrayed as the single, most best, only true way to do it, I often feel like, but in reality it's often just not practical. And I think there are many ways to do it, and yet we are still all minimalist travelers. Question number 2. What is your perfect backpack size?
My perfect size backpack is 2 28 litres and a 13 litre.
Between 22 and 26 liters. Let's go with 25 liters.
I think the perfect backpack is between 28 to 30 liters, around that. I like to use the maximum dimensions that most American budget airlines let you.
I would say around 35 liters. Oh no, now I'm kind of fearing if I really deserve that title, because it seems like I am using the largest bag of the 3 of us. However, I don't feel guilty about that because I have to fit my whole life into my bag and usually travel for weeks and months at a time. So maybe I should watch their channels a little bit to see if I can scale down my things a little bit further. Question number 4. What was the most minimalist you ever traveled?
So the most minimalist that I've ever travelled was 2 weeks with just my 13 litre backpack, and it was amazing. And there was still one thing I never wore.
The most minimalist I've ever traveled was a 2-night stay, and I didn't bring a bag at all. So I had everything I had with me, I had in my jacket pockets.
Ooh, that is a really good question. I'm literally stumped. When I'm traveling with just a personal item, I'm typically packing the same things, but probably the most minimalist was a trip that I took earlier this year in January, because I was actually going to a cold destination, whereas I'm usually traveling to a warmer place. So I brought like 2 sweaters, one I wore on the plane and 2 more in my bag, a pair of jeans basically, and then an outfit for a wedding dinner, including heels.
I went on an overnight trip to Vienna last year, and I decided to squeeze everything I brought into my 2-liter sling bag that I always have for my valuables anyways. It actually worked out quite well, and I had everything I needed. Again, there are many ways to do it, and it also always depends on the trip. But I think we can all agree that it's a lot of fun to experiment with our packing. So let's move on with question number 5. Do you use packing cubes?
Yes, I do use packing cubes because they keep me organised. Plus, the ones that I've got has got a clean side and a dirty side, so it's really useful.
I love packing cubes. I put all my clothes in one packing cube. I don't think they save much space, but I love them for organization. And also for figuring out how much I can bring, because I can only bring as much clothes as fit in my packing cube.
Yes, I actually really like packing cubes, and it was one of the things that helped me transition to using just a backpack. I make sure that mine don't take up any more than half of my backpack, but I do think they do a good job helping me just keep my clothes compressed and contained, and also like the whole bag neat and tidy, because it gets crazy in there.
I do, but not for the reason that most people probably think. I don't use them to compress stuff or squeeze even more things into my backpack. I only use them for organization. And I find since I organize my gear with cubes inside my backpack, I need less fancy backpacks. So I need less compartments, and that also helps to keep the weight down. So I find that using packing cubes makes my traveling lighter and also easier to pack and unpack. Well, it seems to me that we're all on the same page about packing cubes. Question number 6. How do you deal with laundry on the road?
Laundry, I will either wash my things in the sink, hand wash, roll them in the towel, peg them up for the next day, or I will send them out to the laundry if I have a few more bits that need doing.
The longest trip I would do without washing is 10 days. If I stay longer than that, I do washing once a week, and preferably in a washing machine. But occasionally I also do laundry in the sink.
When we're picking places to stay, we typically look for an Airbnb or something either with a washing machine or near a laundromat. I've only done sink laundry like once in my life to wash some socks and underwear. Typically, we look for places that have a washing machine so that we can wash our clothes in the apartment or at the house we're staying at.
I usually hand wash my things in the sink every other day. I find it much more manageable this way because then I just have a few pieces at a time. If I have access to a washing machine in an Airbnb or while house sitting, I will use that. But things like laundromats I never use because I find it's, for the handful of things that I have, it's not worth it to spend that money and especially that time waiting for it to finish. So it's just simpler to do it myself. Unfortunately, there is no way around doing laundry in one way or another when you travel with less, especially for longer periods of times. But it seems to me that we all found a good way to deal with it that works for us. Question number 7, a very controversial topic. Are you traveling with jeans?
No, I don't travel with jeans because I'm living in Cambodia.
Yes, I wear jeans for traveling, especially in winter.
Yes.
Yes, I do. So hearing these answers makes me wonder if this is a little bit of a climate thing. So the interesting thing would be now if Sonia would consider to travel with jeans as well if she would go to colder destinations. Well, maybe you can let us know in the comments, Sonia. Question number 8. What was your biggest packing mistake as a minimalist traveler?
My biggest packing mistake was when I first started out and I thought that I was very minimalist, and I had a 40-litre backpack on my back and a 30-litre backpack on my front, and it was just way too heavy, way too much weight. And I think for me it was the clothes. I just packed the wrong clothes.
My biggest minimalist packing mistake was in my very first minimalist packing trip. I went for a month to Australia and I bought so many souvenirs, way more than I could fit in my bag. So I ended up using a big massive beach towel as a scarf on the way back home because it didn't fit in my bag anymore.
I think my biggest packing mistake as a minimalist traveler is trying to fit too much into a small bag. And this especially happens with my electronics. Like, I love my camera, I love all of my equipment, but I had to be realistic with myself that when I'm traveling light, and especially if there are weight restrictions, I just can't bring as much stuff, especially if it's heavy.
So my biggest mistake was probably falling for all the marketing. I think that I bought every must-have travel gadget under the sun, and many of them turned out to be just useless or not worth the space in my bag. And sometimes they even failed me in the worst moment, like those expensive travel shoes that I bought once. And looking back, I just wish that I spent all that money on my trip instead of gear. That would have been much more worth it. Another thing that we clearly have in common is that we make mistakes. But that's part of the fun, in my opinion, because we can learn from those mistakes and then just try something else on the next trip. Question number 9. Which common travel must-have do you think is a total waste of space?
I think one of those great big neck pillows is the biggest waste of space because you only use it on the flight going to or going home. I just now have a little blow-up one, which, to be honest, is more than enough if I need it.
I don't understand the hype around travel towels. My hostel days are mainly behind me, and in hotels you get a towel anyway, so no need to bring a towel. And the only time I do bring a towel is on a beach vacation, and there I still don't like travel towels because I don't like the microfiber feeling, so I just take a normal thin towel.
I have strong opinions on this. I see so many people recommend these like tech and electronic organizers, and they're always in like such stiff, like really restrictive bags. I don't like those at all. And I also don't like shoe bags. I'm a big fan of just using a plastic bag that you get at a grocery store instead. And really like fancy toiletry bags, just use a Ziploc bag.
Where to start? There are just too many things that I believe do not deserve the space and weight in our bags. My prime example often are those bulky neck pillows that you see everywhere. I mean, yes, maybe they're comfortable for your flight, but then afterwards I have to hold them with me for weeks. And then I honestly just prefer to be a little bit uncomfortable for a few hours on the flight and then not have to deal with that dead weight for the weeks to come. So here's the perfect example that shows how personal travel can be, because I, for one, really love my travel towels. But maybe I just got used to the feeling over the years. And now I'm at the point that I kind of start to dislike those fluffy frotté towels you get in hotels because they never seem to dry. And I often have the problem that I want to do my laundry at night and then I usually squeeze it out in the towel. And when I want to have a shower the next morning, it's all wet still. So it never dries. Question number 10. What is your favorite comfort item?
Comfort item. I'm not sure whether it actually is classed as a comfort item, but it is my sun umbrella stroke rain umbrella. Living in Cambodia, it is extremely hot. Right now it's about 38 degrees. So protecting myself from the sun with a sun umbrella.
One thing that's not technically necessary, but I always bring, is my pajamas. I always bring my pajamas. Even on the trip I did with no luggage, I still brought my pajamas. I just love sleeping in pajamas, so I always bring them.
So my comfort item is probably my full-size tripod and straightener. I just don't know how my hair is gonna look when I go to different destinations, so I like to have a straightener with me, though I don't always use it. And I really love bringing my tripod. Documenting trips is probably like my favorite thing to do. I love taking photos and videos, so having a full-size tripod is one of my little luxuries.
So my favorite comfort item is probably this little massage ball out of cork. I use it to like roll out my feet after a long day of sightseeing, or also the sore muscles in my back and neck after a long flight. And it's often really a lifesaver when I spend like all day long hunched over my iPad working in my dedicated workspace in the Airbnb. Well, if you know, you know. So it seems to me that no matter how little we bring, we always find some space to squeeze in the few things we really enjoy using. Question number 11. You have 100 grams of space left in your bag. Which small souvenir or thing do you bring home with you?
To be honest, I don't do souvenirs because I sold all my belongings and I don't have a home back in the UK any longer. So I suppose my souvenirs are my YouTube videos, and I can look back on those of all the wonderful adventures that I have had over my 3 or 4 years of full-time travel.
I actually don't care about the weight because I don't know any airlines that measure personal item size bags. Usually the weight restriction is only for carry-on bags. So don't care about the weight. For souvenirs in general, on most trips I don't buy souvenirs, but if I do, it's mainly vegan food items I can't find in my home country, Austria.
So I'm actually not really a big souvenir person. If I buy them, I really go for stickers, which don't take up much space at all. But if I had 100 grams, maybe I would bring like a t-shirt or like a cute stuffy or little like figurine type thing in my bag.
I don't have an apartment anymore, so for me the best souvenirs are consumables. So things that I can use up and not things that are clutter then for the rest of my life. So I would probably just bring a bar of chocolate, or maybe 2, because chances are high that it would not survive the travel day. So sounds like we're all really not souvenir people. The interesting thing would just be now for me if this is something that we learned over the years or if we have always been like this. Well, if I think back on my life, I have definitely been someone who purchased a lot of things abroad while traveling. And once I even flew to the US with an empty 65-liter suitcase, and when I flew home it was full to the brim. So what's the verdict? In the end, who of us is the minimalist packing queen? Who deserves that title? Well, if you ask me, all of us deserve it, because I think there is no right or wrong way to do this. Or maybe even better, no one gets it, because I don't really like titles and I think we need no queens and no kings. But what I hope that you get from this video is that there are many ways to travel minimally. And I picked the 4 of us because I think we're a very varied group and we really show those differences. So we all are in different countries, we come from different backgrounds. Some of us gave up everything to travel and sold all our things. Others did that for a while and settled down again. And even others just are people with normal lives who want to save a few bucks while traveling. And then there are long trips, short trips, 1 bag, 2 bags, no bags at all. And yet we're all minimalist travelers, and I hope that we are still all enjoying ourselves. So thanks again to those lovely ladies that they took the time to join me on that video. I really enjoyed making this, and you should really go check out their channels, and I will link everything in the description below. And also let me know if you enjoyed this collaboration and if you want me to do something like this more often. And yeah, other than that, thanks very much for watching, and I believe we all look forward to seeing you in our next videos.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Bye. That's what I always do.
Bye.
Okay, I think that's enough.